Welcome to this episode of Love Amanda. My next guest is award-winning, respected, and iconic. Let's welcome Dawndy Mercer Plank to the podcast.
You're so sweet. I'm so glad to be here. We used to work together.
I know.
I mean, in different parts of the building at WIS, but we were there together, at least for a little bit.
This is so full circle. I
Yes.
still cannot believe you're sitting here and I'm interviewing you.
I can't believe I'm being interviewed because it's so opposite what I'm used to. Other podcasts that I've been on where I'm the guest, I always am like, wait, okay, I have to answer the questions, not ask the questions. So I'm going to try really hard not to like step out of my lane here and start asking you questions. So I'll sit quietly while you ask.
Well, listen, if you want to switch seats, we could do that. You know, I have no
It is your
problem
podcast,
sitting over
right.
there. You could
Right.
totally
Thank
take over.
you. Thank you.
But yes, you've been telling stories in the South Carolina area for over almost three decades.
Yes, so 35 years total in news, 27 of which were here in the Columbia, South Carolina market. I also worked in the Houston market for 5 years and the Green Bay, Wisconsin market for 3 years. And so I loved South Carolina and said, this is going to be home. And I'm so glad I invested the majority of my news career in South Carolina, just because I love the place and the people.
Yeah, that I agree. The people are so wonderful,
Yes,
and you've always been so kind to me since
Well,
the day
thanks,
I met
sweetie.
you.
Thank
When
you.
I moved here from New York, I didn't know anything about South Carolina, and you were so kind to me. And then the second day I was in South Carolina, I realized who you were, and I just couldn't believe how humble
Well,
and wonderful you
Well,
are.
thanks. I appreciate that. That's sweet of you to say. But it was, you came in with so much energy and such a big smile. And I remember thinking, what a darling girl. And, you know, Amanda, I love that you've always been that way. I think that's a quality that when people get bogged down with life or a busy schedule or tired, it's easy to become a different person. And I love that anytime I've seen you, you've always been up here. You know, you've always had joy. And I think that's a great attribute. Boy, this is the I love me, I love me, I love you, I love
I
you
know,
show.
I'm going to cry. Thank you. That is so sweet. Yeah, no matter what I was going through, I was, still showing up and being kind
and joyful. Yep.
That's what I learned from my family. What first inspired you to pursue journalism?
In 6th grade, I did a class project, and my teacher said, pick a career. And I thought of several different things that I found interesting. I had thought of being a veterinarian because I had a love for animals. I had a love for medicine, being a human doctor, those kinds of things. But what really, really got me where I thought, wow, I would love to do that, is to go into television news, because I always watched the nightly news with my mom and dad. That was just a normal thing that at 5:30 up in Indianapolis, we turned on the news and watched network. And I had a fascination with current events. I also loved creative writing classes, English and grammar classes, anything to do with writing or speaking, being in front of people. And it all came together. And that's where I said, oh, I'm going to do my class project on being a journalist. So we were supposed to interview some people. So I did. 2 women who were in Indianapolis market, which was is still a great television market. And so I watched them then for all of the rest of middle school into high school, and then went away to college, majoring in that. Went to Ball State University because David Letterman had graduated from there years and years before, and he had donated so much money to the telecommunications department. So we had all new equipment in the news portion of it. So I felt like right away I was getting a lot of hands-on experience. And it just was an affirmation. Every time I do a project, I became like the anchor of the news that was closed circuit, but there on the university campus. And I'd say, I'm going the right direction. I'm in the right place and space, and this is what I'm going to do. So I finished school in Washington, D.C., which of course is the news-making mecca of the nation. And again, just more confirmation. And then 2 weeks later, I drove up to Green Bay, Wisconsin with no money, hardly any possessions, and said, I love this. And in news, when you start out, at least you make, pennies, but it was worth it because I loved it. And I'm so glad I got to do it for 35 years.
Wow. Isn't it wonderful how you had that hands-on experience?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I noticed at WIS as well.
Yes.
They give students right out of college the opportunity to be hands-on, whether it's in being a meteorologist or an anchor. And where I'm from in New York, it would take years. You're probably getting coffee for your boss for 5 years before they ever put you live or doing anything like that. And I think it's wonderful how you had that hands-on experience to just grow even further.
You're right. I think WIS does a great job, and I think some of the other stations do it as well, giving young people that opportunity. The thing is, I would always look at the people and say, and this is so like cliche, really, everybody knows this, but it's worth repeating to young people. You get out of this what you put into it. So if you're going to sit there and wait for me to say, hey, would you like to practice writing a voiceover? I'm too busy. But if you're standing over my shoulder and you're looking at what I'm doing and you're like, can I take your script and can I work it the way I think I would have done it? And can I practice this? Can I sit in the anchor chair and just read? Then I'm going to pour a lot of time into you. I think it's very, very wonderful that WIS has allowed young people that opportunity because some of them come out really being shining stars. But they had to make the effort. The door and the possibilities there for them. They just have to put in the work.
Yeah, that's a very good point. What do you remember most about your first day working at WIS?
Well, I had already been in television news for 3 years as a reporter and then the 5-minute anchor. We had these little 5-minute news things. So I knew what it was to sit on the anchor desk, but not to be an actual main anchor. So when I came to WIS, that was the first time that I truly was called an anchor. And I just remember sitting on that desk thinking, I've made it. I've made it. I was nervous, but not nervous. I was with a very, very smart person, David Stanton. And so I really relied on him and his knowledge. I think where I felt weak was when it came to politics, which ironically, as much as I hated covering politics for a long time because I didn't know all the players and who was who at the State House, over time as I learned it and just finally said, I am never going to get over my dislike of politics or my nervousness about covering it unless I walk down to that State House and start figuring it out. And by doing that and making an effort, I was like, that's the easiest thing to cover because there's like so much going on and people who want to talk. So I just remember that first day on air thinking, wow, this is so exciting, and the lights and the full crew and the way they would look at me and think, okay, you're our anchor. And I was like, wow, these people believe in me. Yeah. It was a sweet memory, still is.
So when you're fearful of something, press on that.
You really have to. And not just press on like, okay, I'm just going to stick it out. Take a pause and go, what do I need to do to get better at this? For me, it was walking down a few blocks to the State House and asking someone, can you give me a tour of this place? And can you in 7th grade, speech, explain to me what's going on here? And it made a difference. Yeah.
Oh, that's so wise.
Yes. Well, it took me a few years.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that initially, but
right. But that's great advice for anyone listening. Now, with all the years that you've been an evening anchor, what story has impacted you the most?
There have been so many, Amanda. I mean, when you think of 35 years, and your question's good because it's one that I've wondered, if there were one, what would it be? And honestly, sweetie, I can't narrow it down to one. I think one of the, if I said one that was impactful to me was a little boy who was born unable to hear. And his mom said he's going to have cochlear implants, and this was kind of a new thing, especially for that age. And so somehow I was hooked up with her. And I said, I would love to cover your son before cochlear implants, during the operation, and after. And she was open to the idea because she's like, hey, as a parent, and you find out your child when you're going like this and the child's not looking at you, or you're calling his name and you're having to tap him and then he goes like this because he didn't know you were there. So I covered his story before. Then I was at the hospital when they put in the cochlear implant and run it into the ear. Then it had to heal. And then I went with him to the audiologist at the hospital when they turned it on, and he heard for the first time sounds. And his little face went from, just this to going, and he's big eyes, and he's just this precious little boy. I think, wow, I got to be a part of that child's life and see him. And now he's doing, we stayed in contact. And he's doing so well now because he can hear. And then eventually he got a cochlear implant for the other ear. So that would be, I'd say, one of my top stories. I got another one to fly in an F-18 fighter jet with the Blue Angels, Navy. And okay, so I know most people would be like, that's amazing. It was amazing till I got sick. Then it wasn't amazing. Then I was like, get me out of this thing. But you take off and you go straight up, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is great. And then, we're flying around. He's like, we started in Charleston. He's like, you want to go over your house? And I'm like, in Columbia? How long will that take? Of course, minutes. Yeah. So we get there. And he's like, we're over your house now. And so everything's going fine. And he says, well, now I'm ready to start taking you on the flips and turns and, and all this. And I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, okay, I'm in an F-18. I guess we have to do this. So we did. Several times I kept doing one of these where you're passing out, and they teach you ahead of time how to try to not pass out, but you can't. So then I'm just so seasick, and I'm like, please, I'm done. We're good. But that was a great experience. It made for a great photo. I'd say that would be another top story. But honestly, Amanda, I think just the stories of being able to promote organizations, causes, groups, young people who would not have a voice otherwise, and just being able to say, hey, this is going on in this neighborhood, this is important, that brought me a lot of joy, being able to do that. I have chills
from that story, just to see his face as soon as he could hear, and just being part of that journey is so special.
It really was. It really was.
So how do you stay poised and calm during breaking news situations? Obviously, you could stay calm in those situations in a fighter jet.
Right.
But on live TV, what goes through your head?
I sometimes, I feel like I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth right now. On one hand, I had to sometimes disconnect myself from the story because I could not get caught up in it, especially with my own personal views about it. On the other hand, I never wanted to be the kind of anchor who would read a story and say, 3 people were killed at such and such, and not be affected by that, because then you're hardening your heart. I wanted to have compassion for those things. So again, that's why I feel like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. There was one story, I can remember exactly where I was standing, and I choked up, and it was probably the only time on air I've ever choked up. But it was about a little girl whose dad was getting ready to leave to run an errand. And she was inside with mom, and she runs out, and Daddy, I want to go with you. I want to go. She loved to go with Daddy on errands. And so he's like, okay. And they go on the errand. Well, their car was hit by somebody else, and they were both killed. Well, what hurt so much when I was reading it was our little girl. And there's more to the story. There were so many similarities between this story I was reading and our youngest child, who all the time when Craig would get in the car to go somewhere, I want to go with Daddy. And she'd run out, and Daddy, I want to go with you. And they were about the same time when I was reading this story, about the same age. And I remember thinking, that could have been Camille, because how many times has Camille run out, Daddy, I want to go with you. And she's so excited because she hops in the car with Daddy. And that's what this little girl was. And moments later, her life is gone. Right. And Daddy's gone. So that one affected me. But I've always said, I want young reporters to know, remember, you're reporting on real people with real feelings, with real lives. And don't ever say anything. Like if there's a big crash and all these cars are, involved in it, don't say only one person died. Because you might think, 10 or more people died. Oh, okay, only one person died.
Only, yeah.
Only. No. One person, they died. Mm-hmm. That one person had family, had a mate, had a child, a mother, a father. There's never an only.
Yeah.
And as a reporter, as an anchor, you always need to remember you're talking about real people. And I like the word Schadenfreude. I never wanted to be a person who thought, oh, well, that person had it coming to them, And no, these are still people. These are still lives. And my prayer is that people still be empathetic, even if it's somebody who messes up and goes to prison. At one time, that bad man was a little child who maybe wasn't loved. And we need to have that compassion.
Mm. And even though you're giving the news, you're a real person also. Mm-hmm. So you can relate it to your life as well.
Right, exactly. Mm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, going into a little more of a fun topic.
Was I bringing it down too much?
Not at all. Not at all. I've had chills rushing up and down my body. I want to take a second to talk about a family I genuinely love. BLB Homes. Their slogan is Your Home Reimagined. And that's exactly what they do. They've been family owned and operated since 2008. Byron is a licensed general contractor, Kimberly is the design coordinator, and Chris is the project manager. The team truly personalizes every project and stops at nothing to make sure it is your dream home. They also run a clean, professional job site, which matters, and they're incredibly active in our community. I'd recommend them to my own family. And yes, they can even give you that big HGTV reveal. Plus, Kimberly is a realtor with Fathom Realty and can help you find that fixer-upper, and then BLB Homes can turn it into your dream home. Oh, and consultations are totally free. To learn more, just head to blbhomessc.com and let them know that Amanda sent you. So we're going to play a game called Flash Interview.
Okay.
So I'll be asking fun questions,
okay,
and then you have 5 seconds to answer.
Okay.
I'll look at the timer over here.
Oh, no,
but don't worry, I'm not going
to have a timer. Okay. Okay, is a little bell going to go off? Okay.
I didn't think of that.
Right. Now, here's what I have to know. Do I have to answer because my husband and I are huge Jeopardy people. I mean, like every night at 7:30, we race home from the gym because it's like Jeopardy's going to be on. We have even been in the gym, and we'll be driving home from the gym, and we'll pull it up on our phone because we can't miss Jeopardy. But I'll blurt out an answer, and Craig will look at me and he goes, "Remember your phrases. You have to say what is, and then the answer."
Oh wow!
Okay.
He's a rule follower.
Yeah, big time.
First job you ever had?
I worked at the drive-thru at Wendy's. I hung out the window. I loved it. I'm a Wendy's girl. Mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, lettuce, mustard, cheese. Wait, mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, lettuce, tomato, mustard, cheese, if you please. Yeah,
ooh,
I had to have an order.
Please.
Yeah, if you please. Mm-hmm.
And I could see that because you love talking to people.
Yes,
and I could see you just making relationships with them at the drive-thru.
I loved working at Wendy's. I still have my Wendy's badge, believe it or not, with my name on it. My name tag badge. Yep.
Keep that forever.
Well, I kept it on the newsroom desk because I would always say if I had a bad day in the newsroom, things were rough, I thought I could be back flipping burgers right now. What a great job to teach how to serve others and how to work quickly and all that. I think everyone should work fast food.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point.
Wow, that's something I did not guess.
Yes.
Dream interview you've never done.
A dream interview?
Yeah, someone you'd love to interview but haven't yet.
Gosh, I got to interview so many great people. Okay, Amanda.
Any celebrities?
No, because I'm not really a celebrity person. I am sure.
We can get back to that one.
Yeah, I might have to come back to that.
First word that describes your husband.
Amazing. He is. He's just amazing.
I see that.
Amazing.
One thing your spouse does better than you.
Jeopardy.
What is
Jeopardy? Yeah. Yes, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, this might not apply. Favorite TV show right now?
Jeopardy. Are we boring?
Sponsored by Jeopardy.
Sponsored. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I watch a lot of news. I watch documentaries. I occasionally watch a movie. Okay, don't laugh. I'm a big, like, if kids watch it, like Pixar and animated things, I just love that. I'm not a shoot 'em up, bang 'em up. Like, my husband, though, is into right now The Pit with Noah Riley. Thank you. Wiley. Thank you. I don't even know. I just know who he is. But it's, what was it taken off of? ER, or the old ER?
Oh,
so it's like
okay.
an updated version of it. So he had it on the other day. He's like, babe, you would love this because, you're so fast. Because I did health and medical reporting, along with all the other stuff. And I'm like, nah. I mean, it just doesn't interest me. But he loves it. So I can tell you his favorite show.
Okay. Music that gets you motivated.
Okay. Excellent question. And I would have to answer that with depends on for what. Okay. So I'm a runner, distance running. I've got to have upbeat music. Some of my friends will listen to a podcast or a speech or something when they run. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. Mine's got to be upbeat, fast, get me in the mood for it. But then when I'm cleaning house, I have on classical or opera. And to me, that it's just,
Yes.
I mean, Puccini or something, or Rachmaninoff's Second Concerto, on a theme of Paganini, and I'm just dusting.
I can picture that right now. Yes.
So it just depends on what it is.
So when you're running and you need that upbeat music, who do you like? Is it worship music?
I love Elevation. I love Phil Wickham. I love him. Josiah was something. Really, I love Brandon
Lake.
Oh. He is so good.
I know.
He is so good. I love his music. So yes, so I do a lot of those guys.
What's your favorite Elevation song? Mine's Sure Been Good.
Which one?
Sure Been Good.
Sure Been Good.
I
wonder if I've heard. I'm sure I've heard it. I can't. I'd have to. Do you sing?
You've been so good to me.
You do sing. You have a pretty voice.
Thank you.
I can't think of the song. So Be It, God, on their new project.
Okay.
Love that. And then the Bones Will Rattle. Or
I
Dry
love
Bones
that
Rattle.
one. That one gets me hyped.
I will be running and I will hit boop, rewind, boop, rewind, boop, rewind.
Yeah.
I'll listen to that 4 or 5 times in a row.
I love that one. Yeah. So
that's
I
a
just
good,
started
good one.
listening recently
Yeah.
when I moved here. So
Yes. Yeah. I'll go back to the one question.
Yes.
Shane Beamer.
Okay.
I never interviewed Shane Beamer. I'm trying to think of a local person, but I mean, Ben Carson. I got to interview. He was probably one of my favorites because he's such a humble man. I mean, here's a man who has separated conjoined twins at the brain, and I've gotten to interview him a few times. Oh gosh, who's our astronaut from this area?
In the back.
He's from Eau Claire. No, good guess, but no. Can't believe I can't.
We have some
bring up
good
his
people
name.
from South Carolina.
Yes. Zach, are you trying to look for me? Be my brain as I can't remember. Charles Bolden. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Charles Bolden. I have always said about him, I have said this so many times, he is the most down-to-earth man to be a person who has gone out of this world. Literally.
Literally.
Yeah. Yes. I have so enjoyed interviewing him. But Shane Beamer, who I recently was at a dinner and he was there, and I was able to tell him some things that when I retired, he wrote a handwritten note to me. And I was so touched by that because I thought, here's this man who has no free time in his day. And he took time to write a good luck, loved watching you, wrote some other things. And I thought, and I told my husband, I said, I've never even met him. one-on-one. Never had met him, never got to interview him. That was always done by Rick. And a Shane Beamer interview, he's not the guy who can come into the studio. You got to go there to USC or, Williams-Brice to be able to interview him. And so Rick Henry usually, is the only one, talk to him all the time. So that's one interview I would have loved to have talked to him about. But my interview with him would not be, what about that play where so-and-so went this way and you didn't, why did you choose that? I mean, it would have been just about life and his beautiful wife and kids and, how do you juggle, when you have to live, eat, and breathe football 24/7, 365, how do you do it? So so now I've answered your question.
Yeah,
it took me a lot longer than 5 seconds
because
to
you've
figure that
interviewed
out.
everyone.
Well, because I have. I've been very blessed to interview so many people, and of course, when presidential candidates come through, got to interview so many of them. Got to go up to New York after Nikki Haley, being our governor, became the ambassador for the United States at the United Nations. I got to go up there and cover that, and I've interviewed her so many times, but. I really, but as neat as it is to interview those people who are in high places, have big names and all that, when you just interview somebody who has a lemonade stand, there's something so special about just interviewing everyday people because everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story to tell.
Oh, that's what I say about this podcast. And I wanted to also have, you don't have to be,
a name.
A name. Right. And so I would love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Social media, love it or hate it?
Can I do both?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love the way it can connect people. It saddens me the way it has become a place that disconnects people. And I love that it was a way to unify us and, I know what's happening to my high school girlfriends and my college roommates and my, but now it's become, instead of unifying, it divides. And I think also, I still use it a lot. I never did get on TikTok, but Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, Instagram, and Threads, and of course YouTube, I post there. But there are days where I say, you know what, for the next 3 days, I'm not even going to open it. In fact, I used to have all those on my front page, my first page on my phone. I moved them all away so as to not be as tempted to feel like I have to check in.
Yeah.
But so I would have to answer that love and hate.
Very good answer.
But I've had to create borders so that I don't hate it.
Yeah, I had done the same. I had moved the social media apps and I hid them into a folder. And then when I started the podcast, I wasn't even on TikTok. So I said, okay, I have to tap into this now.
Right.
But it's nice to take a little break as well.
Yes. As long as you control it and it doesn't control you.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of, especially young people, get controlled by it. And that's when it's not a good thing.
Yeah. What is one hobby you want to pick up? You still have so many hobbies.
There isn't, because I love running. I love the horses. I love all the things I get to do right now. My husband and I travel every single month. That's become a major hobby for us because we're at that time in our lives when we can do that. There is no room. There is no room for another hobby. Yeah. I love paddle boarding, and I look at my board hanging there in the garage, and I'm like, oh, I miss you. I really want to take you out in the water, but so I'm blessed that I have a lot of interest. We love hiking. We love going to the upstate of South Carolina and hiking, doing a 6-hour hike. I would love to do that more. So I have no interest in picking up another hobby, because I have so many that I love and can't get in right now. But that's the nice part. I don't get bored, because if I get bored of running, then I spend more time on the horses. If I get bored of running, I get maybe on my bike and go cycle for a while. I used to do triathlons and would like to get back into that. So if I get bored of running and cycling, I concentrate on my swimming and laps, and I never get bored of the horses. That it's just such a big commitment. I mean, it takes me like an hour to clean and tack up before I ever get out there. But it's I don't have another hobby. People all the time say, "What about golf?" Because it's so wonderful, and it is. I love being out on a golf course because it's beautiful, and I love being outside. Don't even try to interest me in it because I might like it and I have nowhere to put it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just finding the time to do your hobbies.
Yeah. What is your favorite hobby?
So I like paddleboarding as well.
Oh, good.
So I love pickleball. Bible study.
Yes. Well, and Bible study, I never thought of that as a hobby. I mean, it's my life. It's my every day. I'm studying, like every day in the morning. I'm spending an hour studying the Bible. I guess I never thought of it as a hobby. It's kind of a fun way to look at it. To me, it's an essential, just like eating, breathing, and living. But the one you said before, the pickleball. So my husband and I played 3 times. Oh my goodness.
Love it.
I could get addicted to.
I bet you're
Isn't
great.
it fun? Yeah, I love it.
So much fun.
I love it.
And I used to take tennis when I was younger, and so I find it not easier, but because it's a different type of ball,
Yes. And then my husband would say, "You're in the kitchen. You're in the kitchen."
I know.
I'm like, well, I'm always
in the kitchen. So when I go to 24-hour pickleball, the music is so loud I can barely hear the score or anything going on. So I'm like, I'm in the kitchen. Sorry.
Oh, that's funny. That's cute. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. But I definitely need your advice on just being so busy and how to manage time because yeah, we could talk off the record about that. I'll need some help.
Well, and you're still working full time.
Exactly.
And I love that while I would have easily stayed in television news another 10, 15 years, I love that as I'm turning 60. So this month.
No way.
Yes way. So, but I love that I'm still young and healthy enough to be able to play and do all these other things. But I'm old enough to have been able to have a great career because I still look at my schedule, Amanda, and I'm like, I just can't get everything in today. And my husband's like, you're retired. But I still am working some. Like I was at WIS, this past week doing a commercial for them. And then I ran out to Lexington Medical Center, which is now called Lexington Health, to do 2 things for them. And then I shot a movie that comes out in July in theaters. Yes.
Stop.
Yes. Guess what role I play?
An anchor?
Yes. It finally is coming out in July. So that was shot up in Nashville. And my agent's like, hey, you should audition for this. It was so much fun. It's called Second Coming. Okay. And it's about a newsroom that is down in the ratings, the lowest one on the ratings poll. And so a reporter's trying to bring up the ratings, and he does it by saying, let's just say we found out when Jesus Christ is coming back. And so I'm the news anchor who's kind of like, wait, our boss approved this? And so I'm in 6 scenes because somebody said, oh, do you have like one line? I'm like, no, I had a lot of lines. But yeah, that comes out. So see, I still get to work. I still get to do things, but then I still have days where I am a wife. I go to Walmart and I do our grocery shopping and I cook dinner. And like last night, we had 4 other couples over for dinner and it was so enjoyable. Things I could not do when I worked full time.
Yeah.
So my busyness, I'm still full time at being busy, but I'm in control of the schedule and it's a blessing to be able to do it. And I miss the newsroom. I miss my viewers, especially.
Yeah.
But for this season of life, this was the right call.
Yeah. And you still stay busy. You're probably the busiest person who is retired. But how nice that you finally get time for family and you're in control. So that's what the difference is.
It's nice. Yes, it's nice.
Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
I love so many. If I were to randomly pick one I like to pray for people is number 6, 24 to 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. And then another one I love for me, like no matter what situation I'm going through, is Deuteronomy 31:8 maybe, and I'm going to check this, but it says, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. I want to look at those. So I do this thing where every day I work on memorizing scripture.
You do.
And well, I love, like Psalm 119:11 says, I've hidden your word in my heart so that I will not sin against you. And I think that's so important, because it's like, if we don't have God's word in us, we can't know how to live the right way. Wow. So the Deuteronomy 31:8, I want to make, that's Deuteronomy 31:8. The numbers is, number 6, 24 through 26. I'd say those are a couple of my favorites. But years ago I said, I'm going, because I study French. We, go to France several times a year.
And you're not just a tourist, you're studying
we
French.
Truly
and the
live
language.
in this medieval village in true French town, and only can speak French there. And I thought, I spend so much time making sure I study French every day. And I thought, Lord, I want to put that same kind of effort into studying scripture and Bible study and all that every day. So I, several years ago, said, I'm going to memorize verses or passages or chapters from every book of the Bible. So there's 66 books in the Bible, 37, right, in the Old Testament. Wait, is that right? 37? No, give me a minute. 36 in the Old Testament.
Fact checker.
30, check that. 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New. See if that's right. 30. Oh, good.
Wow.
I hope that's right. 66 books total. Yeah. Yeah, and 39. Yeah, and 39 in the Old. Mm-hmm. So that's, as you can imagine, Zach off camera here, but thank you, Zach. I got to take a picture of Zach, put on my reel. So I will find all these passages, that mean so much. So that's why when you said, do you have a favorite one? I'm like, it depending on the situation. Yeah. Okay, Zach gets a picture, and all right, Zach. So but I love knowing those verses, because, and sometimes you're just driving in traffic or you're in the shower, I'll just start going through, or when I can't sleep at night, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll start at the beginning, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, but I'll start going through all those verses in those books. And then all of a sudden I'm like, next morning I'm like, wait, I think I fell asleep during Exodus.
Yeah, and we were discussing the apps before we got started, but Bible Recap, Bible Project has been really helpful for me. Love
as
those. Well as animated shows.
Love those. It's such a great idea, because really, if you just read the Bible to read it, it's confusing. It's hard to understand. When you have things like Bible Recap, which is solid, or Bible Project, those, you're like, oh, now that makes sense.
Makes so much sense. The first verse that I ever memorized was Matthew 6:34. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. And that one is just great for me, because I could be a worrier. I do like to be in control.
Yes.
And, that just reminds me that God already has his plan. Right. So just sit back and let go. Yeah. And that's a good one. When I say that to myself, it really helps me release that anxiety. It's amazing.
Awesome.
So last question, what is one thing that you'd never retire from?
I can't. Do I have to put it down to just one? One would be being active. I just never want to not be active. And then secondly, with that, is being involved. I'm sad for people who sit at home all day and kind of go, I don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, there's so much to do. There's so much out there. Even if you're by yourself, you're like, oh, I don't have anybody. Well, then get up and go to the park and walk around the park. You'll meet someone. Go to church. Get in a Sunday group, a Sunday class. Sunday, we call it Sunday school, but now we call them Sunday groups. A home group. You will meet people. Your life will open up. And for me, that's what I want, is to always be active and involved.
Yeah, that's a great reminder when we're so busy that we're grateful to be busy.
Yes.
It's better
Yes.
than
Yes.
being bored with nothing to do.
Right.
But yeah, then
Right.
again, if you are feeling that way, force yourself to go outside.
Yes.
Don't just order in the food. Maybe go get it. Just little
Right.
things like
Right.
that.
You never know, and to always be looking outward rather than inward, because it's easy to go, oh, I don't have anybody to be with today. And okay, like you say, go out and get the food yourself. And then when you go out, instead of looking inward, look outward, because there's always a hurting person out there. And someone may just need you to smile at him or her, or to, say, wow, you look so nice today. Be sincere. I don't like flattery for the sake of flattery, but, but yes, be involved and be active. That I never want to stop.
Oh, I love that. That's a great answer. So we're just going to get into our heart to heart, just more on love and marriage. So how did you meet your husband?
He was my insurance agent.
Stop it.
He was. Because I do everything electronically or mail in a payment or something, I did not know him. I had been with another agent, and that agent retired, and then my business went over to Craig. And
God bless.
And how convenient. And then he came up to church and introduced himself.
Oh,
and I was
my.
like, okay. All of a sudden, I needed an umbrella policy. All of a sudden, I'm interested in insurance. Yeah.
So when he first came up and introduced himself, were you shocked that was him that you've been working?
I had seen a picture of him on the flyer stuff, but I just remember going, wow, just immediately was taken by him. And what's neat is to still feel that way.
I can tell.
To really, to truly be in love. You've met him, know, he's just a genuine, I say, the one word was amazing, but amazing because of so many other things. He's genuine. He truly loves me. He loves the children. He loves people. He's a righteous man. He's a good man. I trust him. I trust him with my life. I trust him that he has the best interest at heart for, the family. He's a hard worker, but he also knows how to turn it off and be present, be at home. Yesterday, because we were having, making dinner for 12 people for this dinner I was hosting last night. And I came home in the middle of the afternoon after working a few hours, and he's in the house peeling all the potatoes for the mashed potatoes. Never asked him. In fact, I because I love having people over all the time, we just kind of have this agreement that I won't get stressed out about it and he'll support me in any way. But I love to cook, so he knows it's my thing. And so when I came home and he had all the potatoes peeled and he was finishing up the last few, I just stood there like, wow, and that's, it's worth the wait to wait for the right person. And I'm blessed that I've gotten to be married to him.
That means a lot to me.
Yes.
You saying that.
It's worth the wait.
And I love that you still, after all these years, can,
Get
watch
excited
him
about
peeling
him.
potatoes and get excited about that.
Yes, yeah.
How wonderful is that? That is such a great love.
It is. And that love exists. And if somebody watching, listening doesn't have that, I'd say wait for it, because it can be out there for you. But, always work on yourself first. So, because so many people, I see these, especially young girls, like, I'm just looking for a husband. I'm looking for whatever, a boyfriend. And I'm like, are you looking at yourself? Like, look at yourself, be all you can be, and be totally independent and stable. And then when that person comes along, boy, you're going to be a prize package for him.
Yeah.
Because what guy wants some girl who's, chomping at the bit to, I just got to be with somebody, They're going to be much more attracted to you if you are solid and independent and have something to offer.
Yeah, and that really helps me, where I joke around all the time, where's my husband, all these things. But, I haven't even been divorced that long.
Yeah.
So
you need time to heal and
sure.
grow and get through that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You can ask the Lord, hey, where's my husband?
Yeah.
You can keep your eyes open. But the main thing is be who God created you to be and be all you can be so that you can be a fully healed 100% person when that person comes along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You've balanced so much with a long career and family. So how do you balance that?
I haven't always been good at that, Amanda. I think that it's a lot better now because I'm not in the newsroom 10 hours a day anymore. I honestly, sweetie, I don't know how, and I'm not by any means wanting to step on toes here. I do not know how some women work an 8 to 10 hour day at an office and then can come home and take care of kids and be a wife as well. Yeah. Some women can do it. I wouldn't recommend it, especially on this side of a full career. I have seen how much it takes to run a household. And I applaud the women who say, I am working. I'm a wife. I am working. I'm a stay-at-home mom. That is working. I have a dear friend of mine, Sam Bleiweiss. Did you ever know Sam? She used to be a reporter, a beautiful girl, an anchor at WIS. And then she was up in Boston. Her husband's career took them up there. And she chose to walk out of the newsroom on good terms, not like just walk out, but I mean, to end her career there, or to postpone it, to put it on hold. And a very promising career. I mean, the girl is very, very solid as a news anchor. But she was pregnant. They were starting their family. And she said, I want to be home to raise Teddy. And she has really promoted that with giving women the reality that, you know what? You are enough. It is okay to make that your career. But so often, sadly, because we were like, yeah, and I love that women can have careers. I love it. And I want women to be at the top and all that. But at the expense of what? And sadly, I think a lot of women feel like they have to go to work to be something. Now, sometimes to make ends meet, I understand all that. And again, I don't want to step on toes here, but I think women who are at home with children ought to be applauded and recognized as working full time.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think back, how did my parents do it?
Yeah, it's hard.
It really is hard. I know my mom, she was working in fashion, but then stopped to raise us kids. And she was there with every carpool, every cheerleader.
Yes, which was a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
You name it. And then she ended up going back to work when we were adults.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what I would have done without her during that time.
Right.
So yeah, I give it up to women that do it all.
Yes,
and
right.
Perhaps they have supportive husbands or family around, which is a blessing.
It is a balancing act, especially for those women who work outside of the home and then still try to work at the home. I know for me, there were a lot of stressful moments for me where it's like, I've got this coming up and I just desperately want to clean the house and I got to do this and we don't have any food in the refrigerator, but I got to get off to the newsroom, Yeah. And there's an excitement in that. And it was great for a season, but I just applaud the women who say, okay, today, this is my to-do list, and be active. Don't just be sitting there eating chocolate bonbons,
right.
But yes, being a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job and a great one to have. So I have to say, for me, whether it's full-time newsroom or full-time, or being at home, mostly full-time, I still, again, dabble in odd jobs. Yeah. But the thing is for me to find that balance is get my priorities done first. So it's my husband and I in the morning are having morning coffee, reading our Bibles, studying, and then I do my French lesson, and then I do my exercise. And I'm like, okay, I've gotten the things that are most important to me done. Then I do things like clean the house, just tidy it up. And I say clean the house a lot, don't I?
With the opera music.
To. Yeah, with my opera.
But priorities,
right,
for sure,
right.
That's
Get
what
the
it
priorities
is.
out first. Because, if I want to see what so-and-so posted last night. And if you start there, before you know it, you've wasted 20 minutes, just this, looking at the next one. So for me, that balance is hit those things that are most important in my life for that day and then hit the day.
Great advice.
And it's fine. It's fun when it works that way.
Yeah, it doesn't always.
It doesn't always. Yeah, that's my goal. Okay. Yes.
And now, what qualities make a long-lasting marriage?
Well, as a Christian, I don't know how you have a successful marriage without God at the head of it. I think it's this big triangle. You got to have God and then the two of you, and you've got to all be connected. There has to be a commitment to each other that no matter what, you stick it out. You know, it doesn't always work. And there's some very solid reasons why sometimes it doesn't work. But I think sometimes when things get tough, too many people go, oh, well, then I'm out of here because there are hurt feelings. And so I think really having an attitude of I'm committed no matter what, but then dying to self. You know, if you're always looking for how can my needs be met versus how can I meet the needs of my mate, when you are really working to try to, like, that's what I love about my husband. He's always looking for how can I make Dawndy's life what it is? How can I be the best husband to her? Which makes me go, well, then how can I be the best wife for you? And it's just, instead of a snowball going out of control, it's going the other way. And it's like, wow, this just keeps building momentum and keeps getting better and better. So I'd say that. And then I'd say, remember your mate is not your enemy. You know, it's sometimes the person that you just vowed your life to and, oh, I adore you, becomes your enemy. You know, what went wrong in there? So I think those are some of the key things. And then being able to say, let's put the crazy of life aside for a second and let's just go take a walk holding hands. Let's just have some fun. Let's play a board game. You know, I think those things are vitally important.
And God at the center, it's getting through the bad and the good as well. And
yes. And realizing when you're going through the bad, you can go through it together. It doesn't have to be that you're on an island.
Yeah.
You know, hold hands and get through the woods together.
And making time for each other.
Yes.
Outside from,
huge.
You know,
yes.
life.
If all your girlfriends are your priority over your husband, not going to work. If you're always with the guys when your wife needs you at home, you know, that's an issue.
Yeah. Rather make time for your wife or husband.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And some alone time is good.
Necessary too.
Yes. Necessary. It's beneficial. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I love that if I'm gone for a weekend with my girlfriends for a girls trip, I love that, like, every few hours I'm like, hey, I miss you, you know.
Yeah.
I still,
it's nice.
because I'm like, oh, I love my girlfriends, but boy, I can't wait to get home to my husband Sunday night.
I know. It's good to miss each other.
Yes, exactly. To date, like my husband always says, are you dating your wife? You know, and he'll say, are you being your husband's girlfriend? Like, am I acting in a way that I'm my husband's girlfriend? You know, and the other day I thought, okay, this is really telling a lot. But the other day I looked at what I had gone to bed in, and, you know, I'm looking at myself in the morning and I'm thinking, oh, this is pathetic. This is just pathetic. And I would never have worn this when we first got married. Why
does he find me attractive in this?
There is nothing attractive about the way it was looking then. And so I'm thinking, okay, you know, that the concept of be your husband's girlfriend is, you know, when you're a girlfriend, you're always like making sure your hair is pretty and, you know, that you look nice, and he comes to pick you up, and you want to be on your best behavior. Well, you know what? Carry that over into marriage. And carry that over after you've been married for years. And so,
so you need a new pajama set?
Well, sweetie, it wasn't even a pajama set. It was, I can't get too personal, but I looked just like.
That is so funny.
I needed to go back to bed and start over. Yeah.
Well, but he still loves me. No
but he still loves me. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
What are your favorite things to do together as a couple?
Okay, have you ever played the game Rummy Cube?
I haven't.
Oh, Does anybody here know Rummy Cube?
Rummy Cube?
Rummy Cube, anyone? Oh, you guys, it's a tile. You have tiles with numbers. Are you familiar with Rummy, like Rummy 500,
Yes.
the card game? It's that. It's that basically, but it's tiles. But you same concept. You have a run, or you have like, 3 threes, different colors. You have, it's just a tile game. And you have to have 30 to meld to put down the tiles. You have a little tray and you keep drawing a tile. We can play that for hours.
Really? Are you competitive?
And yes, we're competitive. And what we will do is he might win one, then I might win one, and we'll look at each other and we're like, tiebreaker, play again.
How fun.
So it's a fun game. We do things like that. We do a ton of exercising together, and that's very fun. We travel. I mentioned we travel pretty much every month now.
Yeah.
So we spend a ton of time together, but I'd say traveling's probably one of our most enjoyable things, because for us it's going to a new place, or we keep going back to the same place in France, so it's not new to us anymore, but it's still exciting. Yeah. So I think just doing life together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just discovering more about France together.
Yes.
How exciting.
Yeah. Now, one thing I've had him go into the barn with me, and I'm like, babe, I'm shoveling manure, and isn't this the greatest place to be? And the horses are, dirty and nasty, and he's like, I don't know why you love this, So we still have differences. So to me, I'm like, okay, I won't ask you to go to the barn with me. But then he doesn't ask me to sit and watch some movies with him, because I'm just like, okay, I'm bored. I don't want to watch this, or I can't stand shoot 'em up, bang 'em up movies.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like, well, I really need to prepare this lesson for this Sunday. So I'll sit over here and he'll do his, So we still have some things that we'll do separately, but within the same house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, now last question. How has life been since retirement? You did cover, how much you were getting done.
So busy. It's been, I'd say, almost perfect. I would be dishonest if I didn't say there were moments of, oh wait, what did I do? Why did I step away? Because I loved it so much, and I loved my coworkers. I just think WIS is, tops in so many ways. I know. But I knew it was the right decision. There are lots of things we can do in life that are great. You can't do all of them. So to be able to do one in this season of your life, and then another in another season of life, and maybe another in next season, that's where I was. And news has changed so much. There are so many more shows, but not as many people. And so with quantity going up, quality's been coming down, and that's just kind of across the board. Even network sometimes deals with that, but my friends at Network will tell me, Dawndy, you think local news, some friends of mine will say, guess what we're dealing with? And so there are just so many other ways for people to get their information. So for me, I knew it was the right decision to do that. But it's retirement. And again, I kind of laugh that I say retirement, because I think of retirement.
You're not even retired, really.
No,
I still see you in TV commercials.
Yes, I just pivoted.
Yeah.
I retired from the daily grind of news, which I loved and adored. But I'm glad that I still get to do on-camera projects and still have a relationship with people at WIS. That's always going to be a highlight of my life is, when Randy Covington hired me in 1992 from the Green Bay market. And that was special.
Well, I know people are still wanting to work with you all the time. And it is just such an honor to know you.
Thanks, Amanda.
Truly.
Thank you. That's very kind. And I'm excited for your podcast.
Thank
who else can get by with lips on the lips on the sofa and those gorgeous flowers? I walk in and she's like, oh yeah, I've got these flowers. And I'm like, that's like an amazing arrangement.
Thank you. Something special. So
on Main Street.
Yes. Yeah, so I love, having local sponsors for sure.
I mean, look, they match your dress, which matches your shoes, which matches your pillows, which, I mean, I don't think anything matches on me, but I need to, fix this and fix my pajamas for my husband.
I cannot believe you're going to be 60. I mean,
60.
What a shock.
Yes, 60 years old. I would just remember as a 20-year-old thinking 60 was like an old lady.
Oh, not at all. But
Well,
I know what you mean. I mean,
it's not. It's not. But you do kind of go, okay, if most people live to be 75, 80. And that's another reason I think, because my husband would always say, between now and dead, how do you want to spend the rest of your life? And Toby Mac, the Christian rapper, he has a quote that says, don't forget to live before you die.
I love that.
And that's where I was like, okay, as much as I love the newsroom, I don't want to, I want the chance to live before I die. Now, I pray that I'm here several decades more, but we all eventually leave this earth. Mm-hmm. And so what else can I do to still invest in people's lives, but also ride off into the sunset on a horse, listening to Puccini?
Yeah.
Wow, that just covered it all with my husband. Yeah.
Really.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But thank you for having me on this. And yay you for starting a podcast.
Thank you so much.
And of course, the title. I mean, I was like, that
you
is
like
so
it?
you. I love it. Love, Amanda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Short and sweet. I wanted it to be a love letter.
That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And please share where everyone can find you on social media. I know you love it, hate it, but let the people know.
Yes, because I'd love for you to follow me. So I'm on Facebook. My talent page is Dawndy Mercer Plank on cam. And then on X, I'm at Dawndy. I started to say Dawndy at WIST because that's what it was for so long.
Right.
Dawndy on cam. And then Instagram, Dawndy Mercer Plank, and Threads, same thing. So, and then I have a YouTube channel, which, if you send me this, I'll upload it to that just to help people know about
I'll
you.
I'll collaborate with you on YouTube then.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'll start subscribing
Have you done a YouTube channel?
So everyone can tune in on any audio platform.
Right.
So Spotify, Apple, iHeart. And then they can watch the full episodes on YouTube.
Oh, good.
So, you want to watch us.
Yeah.
Okay. We're so much better in person. Then you can see how I match everything.
Yes. If you ever have me come back, I'm coming in all pink.
Okay.
Pink for Amanda.
We'll coordinate.
There we go. Yes.
But I'm going to live my life just like you, so I can be like you, look like you, and truly.
But you are you, and you are unique and beautiful, and I love your personality, and especially that smile. So thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Because if you love Amanda, she'll say, "Love Amanda."
We're ending on Dawndy.
There we go.
That. Yes. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Please like, subscribe so you don't miss out on all future episodes. Thank you.
Love Amanda.